audience. Welcome to Only the Greatest Podcast, where we explore the vital connection between fitness and success in all areas of life. We are your hosts, Daryl,
Philip,
Sean,
and our goal is to help you become the greatest version of yourself.
This show is brought to you by our one and only sponsor, which is ourself, OTG Fitness. OTG Fitness is a private personal training gym on the south side of Houston in Webster, Texas. You can learn more about OTG Fitness by searching OTG Fitness on any social media platform.
if you happen to find any value in this show, all we ask is that you leave a quick review and mention specifically what helped you out. If you're listening on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone you think may need to hear it.
We're just a couple of guys here that found life-changing benefits in fitness, and we want to share that with the world. So every single like, mention, and review helps us out so much. Please help grow this show and everything OTG is about by sharing with somebody today.
And tomorrow.
And the next day.
And the next
Maybe
day.
next week.
Maybe
and
next-
the next day.
Maybe next week, next month.
Yeah.
Because we got more to come.
All right, guys. We got a banger for you today. We're recording on our new, so we used to do Fridays. We switched up a little bit. This is our first Monday, and I'm kind of liking it.
You like Monday?
Yeah, I mostly like this Monday because I'm not at work. I took a vacation today. That's
Sounds like a good way to spend
then
Monday.
a good second thing is recording a podcast with the guys.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Monday. We're recording, and we got a banger for you. This one is, I think overall it's pretty short and sweet.
There are some little nuances.
There's
in there,
definitely
though,
some
and that's kind of what
nuances,
we'll go over
but
today.
It's pretty straightforward. And what we're going to talk about is how to stay motivated when working on a goal, whatever your goal is, right?
Yeah, because motivation always slacks at some point. And you always hear that, you know, you got to be disciplined when you're not motivated. But let's be honest, like actual motivation helps out quite a bit.
Sure, yeah. So I would think, I would say that motivation is probably the most powerful driver. It's just the most inconsistent. So, you know, yeah, you got to lean back on your discipline when motivation's not there. But if you can maximize the motivation and the duration of it, then it can help carry you even further, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because people are really motivated in the very beginning, but then it dies off, and then it kind of sparks back up, and you get going. See, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah,
but that's a really great point.
Yeah. So, you know, fall back on your discipline for sure. But we're going to talk about how to maximize the motivation and primarily the duration of it, right? And how long it lasts. So to start things off, taking action, Phil has a bullet point here. Taking action precedes motivation, right? Which means that, you're feeling motivated, you're thinking about it, you have a goal in your mind, but you have to take action on that. You can think about it all you want, but until you get out there and start doing it, it's not going to matter.
Very rarely are you motivated in the beginning. This is something that likely, if you're listening to this and you're not doing anything right now, let's be honest, you probably don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's normal.
Sure.
I feel like we have to admit that it's okay to not be motivated in the beginning.
Right.
You shouldn't sit around and wait for motivation. But if you know something needs to be done, then take action and just understand that the motivation will come in time.
Right.
But you have to act first.
Right.
And so many people overlook that. They're waiting to be motivated.
Yeah. Start building some momentum. So that takes so I guess you're not really motivated. You have a goal in mind. You don't feel like doing it, but you know you need to, or you know that you want to take some action and start to build that motivation. Right. So that's step number one.
Right. That's the first thing to understand.
That's the first thing to understand, right? Is take some action, and then motivation will likely come following that, right?
Right.
Number two here, find what matters to you. What is your goal? Some people want to be jacked and shredded. Some people want to feel better. Some people want to look better. Some people want to live longer, whatever it is, right? Is that what this bullet point's about?
Yeah.
What matters to you?
What matters the most? And then you need to set a goal that's related to that thing, because what happens, unfortunately, I think a lot of times is that people start because someone else tells them something.
Yeah.
Like, this person told me that I look fat or something like that. And so that's why they work out. You should work out and exercise and eat better and be healthy because it matters to you. There's something that you want. And that's why you should do it. And then speaking of why, you have to actually figure out and don't say, because this person told me I'm fat. That's not why. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
You should ask yourself why. As many, everyone's heard this. It's very generic. There's that big TED talk a few years ago that talked about finding your why, which is great stuff, right?
Sure.
But it really is important here. You need to ask yourself and get to the root of the issue. Don't just say, this person told me I'm fat and now I need to lose weight. Ask yourself, why does that hurt you? Why does that motivate you? And then keep going through that drill as many times as it takes
until you get to the actual root of it.
That's right.
Yeah. And most people will just ask it once and it's a surface level. Well, I want to be in shape because, I saw this picture of myself and I thought that I looked fat and I didn't like it. It's like, okay, well, why? Why didn't you like it? And then you go down until you get to the root of it. And then once you understand that and basically I'm not going to say, make yourself comfortable, make yourself familiar with it. And aware of it. And then use that as your driving force. Right.
Yep.
Also one more thing before we move on to the next point. It's okay that sometimes what matters to you changes. Cause I know me personally, there's been a lot of different and I'm just going to use fitness, as an example, but like over the years, there's been a lot of, different things that mattered to me. There was a time when I didn't really care about as much what I looked like or felt like, as long as I was strong,
right?
As long as I could move a lot of weight. That was probably the youngest, starting when I started to work out in high school, right? Or maybe shortly after. If I can be really strong, that's what matters, right? And then it turned into, how do I look? Do I look good? And I remember telling Phil this, I don't care how strong I am as long as I look good, as long as I have big biceps, big chest, thin waist, whatever it was. Right. And so I went through the phase of it's only about looking good. And then I would say that now I've transitioned into I want to feel good. And I think that I'll probably stay here for the rest of my life, I would imagine. I want to feel good. I want my body to be able. Of course, I push a little bit. I still move a little bit of heavy weight, but I'm not in here trying to set a 1 rep max on my squat anymore, or my deadlift or anything. That's just not what I want anymore, right? And those are just my examples. So just the point is understand that they can change, right? They can change with time, and what used to matter to you, maybe it doesn't anymore. And maybe something that didn't used to matter has come into play now, and you think about that, and that's okay.
I think that's a really great point that I wish I would have thought of myself as I was putting this together. Yeah. But I think that's so true. And it's okay to change your goals accordingly. Yep. It's kind of like that whole thing that we talked about last week where periods of hard times, make us stronger.
Sure.
So if you want to set a harder goal because something different matters to you, let's see. Joe and Val, right? They have a bodybuilding competition. Everything. I mean, their long-term goal is always probably like to improve their physiques.
Sure.
But when it comes to bodybuilding time, the whole like building muscle thing, it goes away. And like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So let's go through this short period of time. We have a plan for afterwards. Then the goal is going to change again.
Sure.
But when you
understand that.
That's right. When you're starting though, it's probably best to find one, and then you're going to fall in love with it. That motivation is going to set in and all this stuff starts to make more sense.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming in the beginning.
Oh yeah. Very overwhelming.
But once you get started and you find that why, and you set a goal that's related to what matters to you, and you get moving towards it, then that motivation is going to kick in, which is a perfect kind of segue into our next point here, which is you need to track something tangible that is related to that goal. So let's use Daryl when he was wanting to get stronger. What were you doing?
I was basically writing down how much weight I moved and for how many reps I moved it. And from week to week or chest day to chest day or back day to back day or whatever it was that I was tracking, I went, okay, so last week I squatted 405 for 3. And this week I want to get 405 for 4, or I want to get 415 for 1. I wanted to do either more reps or more weight, right? And I tried to do that every single week. Sometimes I failed. A lot of times I did beat my previous week or whatever, whether it was by 5 pounds. So that was one example of how I tracked it, something tangible. I wrote it down and went, okay, so I know I did this much and now I need to go for this much. And I tracked it every week.
And let's talk a little bit about like the psychology behind that. How would you deal with, let's say you didn't get to it? Like what's going through your head?
Of course I was upset, like a little bit, like, oh man, it's not cool. I would have liked to been able to do it. But I would say that especially now, but even a little bit back then, I have a little bit of self-awareness and think about it. Okay, has my nutrition been on point? And I start to evaluate why maybe I was significantly stronger last week and not this week. Maybe I had an extra rest day. Maybe I wasn't hydrated. Maybe I didn't sleep very well. I went out and I stayed out too late the night before or whatever. Right. And so I started searching for the reason why I didn't hit it. And then I would say, okay, well now I know that I need to eliminate that thing if I want to get better, if I want to improve on this goal, right?
Kind of like reverse engineer it.
Reverse engineer it.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And sometimes I couldn't come up with anything. Well, I pretty similar to last week, and my diet's been pretty good, and I didn't sleep or I didn't stay out too late. I don't know. I just wasn't as strong this week, or whatever. And that happens sometimes.
Yeah, and that's where you fall back on the discipline.
That's
to keep
where
going.
you fall.
But what came to my head when you mentioned that is, I'm wondering if the times that you do improve, the psychology behind like feeling so good about that, like that rolls over.
Yeah, sure.
So you're not even like, you're like, oh, I did improve last week. And you feel so good about that the motivation continues, even though you had this little bump in the road.
Well, I think the root of that is, if you even break that down even more, is I can look back at the previous months and go, okay, I'm, maybe from week to week, the graph looks like this, but from A to B, from January to December, it looks like this.
Kind of like the stock. What I tell everyone from a weight loss perspective is it's kind of like the stock market.
Yeah.
Up and down, up and down, up and down.
But
if you invest in the long run,
if you look at A and B, you're going up, right?
That's right.
And so I didn't actually have a graph, but I could go, man, 6 months ago, I was only at, 385 for 2 reps. And I haven't squatted less than 405 in like 6 weeks.
Yep.
So I know that what I'm doing is working, right?
Yep.
And so that would carry me and go, okay, I sucked this week, but I know that over the course of X amount of months, I've been making steady gains.
yeah. And if you never tracked the progress the whole time, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Known. I wouldn't have remembered really.
Yeah. You would just go in and know that you did less than last week and you're automatically upset about it. And I forget who I was talking to the other day. I think Denver and I were talking about something. I don't remember the exact subject, but it was something along those lines. I was like, when I'm feeling down about something, because I've been tracking it for a long enough period of time, I can go back and review. Oh, you know what we were talking about? We were talking about how much we save.
Oh yeah.
Talking about saving money. We were talking about saving. And I was like, sometimes when I feel like I'm overspending or kind of getting a little bit out of control or kind of feeling demotivated about this or that, like from a financial perspective, something that I'll do is I'll just pull up financial statements or I use QuickBooks, right? To keep up with everything. I'll pull that up and just look at the past 12 months and I'm like, whew,
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing all right. And then boom, it's like motivation resets.
So what if I bought that extra book?
Right.
So what if I bought 150-pound dumbbells?
Yeah. So that motivation just kind of starts all over, so.
Yeah, those 2 treadmills didn't fuck me up too bad. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So when things are going bad, if you have that data, you can look back on it. It needs to be, once again, just to reiterate, it needs to be related to the thing that you care about.
Sure.
It's almost like a journal in a way, like how a journal is like an emotional version of that. It's like, if you feel like you're going, like you're down, you're like, fuck, dude, I'm really like, it's been a rough time or whatever. You go back and look at your journal and it's like, you know what, this is how I dealt with it. And I'm actually doing better than I was 6 months ago, or something like that.
That's so true.
Sure. And I'm going to give you, so real quick before we move on to the next point. The stuff you can track, weight, you can get on the scale every day or every week or whatever. Weight is one.
Yep.
Sean had a great one earlier. Progress pictures.
Yeah, take pictures.
Take a picture in the mirror. Look at Sean. Take pictures. Wink, wink. He knows about taking pictures. But take pictures in the mirror, right? You know, even if it's just for you to look at, shirt off type stuff, right? That way, you know, in a month when you're like, man, you know, I haven't, the scale hasn't went down and, you know, I don't know if what I'm doing is working. Well, let me go look at a picture from 4, 5, 6, 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then compare, stitch it with a picture of today. And in all likelihood, if you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing, you'll see the difference.
That's
you'll
right.
go, okay, it is working. The scale's about the same, but look at my waist, you know, look at my, look at the, how lean my midsection, whatever, right? Yeah. How much leaner my midsection is.
The way your clothes fit.
The way your clothes fit.
All these things.
For example, I was going to bring up Zach. Zach's been taking progress pictures and dude, he's gotten slim, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. He's one of the clients at the gym and he's lost just a crazy amount of weight. The dude's just like on just a path, you know, he's just like killing it.
I saw the
dude's on a war path.
Yeah, dude,
buying
really.
new workout clothes.
Yeah, he said, I'm buying new workout clothes and it's weird because I have to go down like a size or two. And I was like, dude, that has to be crazy.
That's something that you can track. That's what Phil's saying.
Yeah.
So Zach can go, okay, well, I don't feel so great this week or the scale hasn't went down, but last week I was wearing a 2X shirt or whatever. And now I'm wearing a 1X or a regular.
Or
large.
even 6 months ago, I was wearing this. And if you're
Whatever
really
it is,
if you're into fashion and like buying new clothes, that's a tangible thing.
Yep.
Right. You know, if that's what you care about.
Yeah.
You know?
So those are things that you can track, business side of things. Like Phil said, look at your bank statement. Everybody has bank statements, whether you have a regular savings account or whatever, and you can see how much you've put in over the past year, and you can see how much you've spent. You know, you can see every single transaction. So, which side are you heavier on? Right. And you can track that. Progress. So progress pictures, scale, the way your clothes fit, financial statements.
If you want to get real form, go get a DEXA scan.
Go get a DEXA scan. That'll track your entire body composition. Running. So Phil, this is a great one. Me and Phil run outdoor. He runs outdoors, 3 to 4 days a week. I've been on 1 or 2, need to get it back to 3 or 4. Got my ass whooped the other day, but,
Heat ain't no joke.
Yeah. Heat ain't no joke. But, so Phil was telling me while we were running about how, you know, his times didn't improve when he ran X amount of miles, right? Well, it took me, you know, 30 minutes this day, and it took me like 29:55 this day. And I was disappointed because I only got 5 seconds or whatever. But he went back. His coach told him, well, go look at your heart rate. And his heart rate was like 160 on the first run and like 135 on the second run.
Massive difference.
Massive difference. So 160 beats per minute versus 135 beats per minute on the same run, the same amount of time. That's progress right there.
That's huge progress.
That means that physically that run was easier for your body, for your heart to keep up, right? You are more fit. You are in better shape. So that's an example too. Track your distance that you're running, track your heart rate, whatever it is that you want to do, track it, track your caloric intake.
Yeah. If it's from if you're doing this because of a medical situation, you know, your blood work, your blood sugar, your blood pressure.
Yep.
All of these things that matter to our health.
Yep.
If
you want to feel better, Sean mentioned a journal a minute ago. If the only goal is to feel better, you know how you can track that? Write it down.
Yeah. Write down how you feel.
Today is Monday, you know, July 3rd. And is that what today is? Yeah. Monday, July 3rd. And, I ate XYZ thing. I worked out at this time and I feel great.
That's right.
Or I don't feel so good. And you write it down every day or every couple of days. And then you look back and go, okay, I'm not seeing a trend in my mind, but bust out the old highlighter and go, okay, I felt great this day. Felt great this day. Man, all those days I worked out in the morning.
Yep.
Or all those days I worked out in the evening. Or all those days
I went to sleep at this time or
I
something.
ate the same thing and this is what it was. I went to sleep at a certain time, right? Track your sleep.
That's a great piece
one.
of homework that I give to a lot of people is I'll ask them to write down what they're intaking, like food wise, for a week.
Yep.
And
that's
then
part of your standard.
it's pretty standard. It's a great thing for people to do when you're getting started. But another thing that I'll recommend, depending on the person, is to also write down how they feel.
Yep.
Write down how you feel compared, and we're going to compare that with, what you're eating and your activity levels.
Yeah. Cause if I'm being honest, I know like if you were to ask me, how'd you feel yesterday? I'd go,
you have to really think about it.
I guess I felt good.
Yeah.
But you could go back and look at it, right? And
if I ask you how you felt last Tuesday, you have
I
no
have
idea.
no idea how I felt last
right.
Tuesday. Was my stomach messed up? Did I eat this bad thing? Did I stay up too late? Whatever, track all that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're strumming on this a lot. Phil, you got something else?
Yeah. One other thing I want to throw in here, and this sounds kind of bad, but just know that I've been doing this a long time, worked with a lot of thousands of people. And one thing I can tell you about motivation is that when you hear compliments from other people, it matters.
Yeah, it does matter.
And it really gets the motivation going. So if you get results for yourself, that's going to be super motivating.
Yeah.
But I want to also put this out there that if you can get those results, you are going to hear it from other people as well. And when you do, that motivation will double.
Tackling fuel.
Yeah. If you lose 20 pounds and you feel good about it, just wait until somebody else says, hey, Daryl, you've been working out, man. You're looking good.
Tackling
fuel. You losing weight?
Tackling fuel.
Yeah. And I'm just telling you, the motivation will double down and it's just on another level.
I'm going to tell my story and then we're going to move on.
Okay.
This happened to me. I was telling Phil about this.
I have one as well.
I was telling Phil about this just the other day on our run. I've been on a goal to lose. I've been on the path to lose X amount of weight. I want to get to a certain weight. That's just my goal right now. And this past week has been rough. I hadn't lost much weight, like a pound, and then it went up 1.5 pounds, and then it went back down 1 pound. And I kind of stayed right the same for a week. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to adjust the calories, just the cardio, whatever, right? However, during that week, like 3 different people either commented on a picture that Jess posted or saw me at the gym or out and about and were like, man, you're looking lean, dude. You're leaning out right now. And I'm like, what? I'm trying to, but I haven't lost any weight this week, or whatever. And that just tells me that it is working and the scale just hasn't reflected that.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
We're our own worst enemies.
Yeah.
So when
like 3 different people, I was like, thanks. Yes, I have been working on it. Even though
and in your mind, you're like, damn, what perfect timing.
What perfect time. And I use that as tackling fuel.
Yeah,
Sean, go.
That's
tackling fuel.
That's awesome. I just want to bring in the audience for you, man, on that.
Oh,
that's great.
Dang.
Yeah.
Tackling
fuel, Bubba.
Tackling fuel. You know what Sean's going to do? He's going to tell how everybody comments on his improved front lat spread. Go ahead, Sean.
Tell us about it.
It's something similar to that. So I went to a friend's, he had a birthday party for his kids a few months ago. And or not a few months ago, it was like a month ago. And it was pretty cool. So I went, it was hot. So I was wearing a tank top. I had just got done hitting pool that day. So feeling pretty good.
Biceps were pumped.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I
Perfect
show
for
up
the front lat spread.
and I see his wife's mom, and I've grown up with them all, just about all my life. And I walk up to her, I was like, hey, how you doing? And she's just like, oh, hey, how are you? I'm bad with names. Remind me of your name. I was like, I'm Sean. You've met me, we've known each other forever. She's like,
for like 30 years.
She's like, well, yeah, right. I was like, yeah. She was like, Sean, oh my God. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you living in the gym now? I said, no, I just work at one. But that was just, it was cool. Cause I was also kind of feeling that like, the weight wasn't really reflected on the scale. Like what I was really going for wasn't really reflected on the scale. But I mean, someone I hadn't seen in years didn't recognize me. I was like, that's kind of crazy.
Sean's like, you want to see something crazy? Let me get this tank off. All right. I love this story, Sean. So that's tackling fuel.
Yeah, yes, sir. I like it.
Sir. All right. Last one. This is my favorite because this is something that is very true to me in my mindset and how I operate. I have to do these things because I know how well it works for me. Follow through on what you tell yourself you're going to do. And what that does is it builds confidence in yourself. You know, all that badass MFer that lives in your brain that you think you are, that you know you are, like, oh, I can do that. And all the thing, you know what, I can do that. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to go on this run every day, or I'm going to have to go train 5 days a week or whatever. You tell yourself you're going to do it, and nobody else knows it but you. And when you don't follow through on that, it doesn't hurt anybody except for you. And it really, really hurts you, right? Really hurts you because you don't have confidence in yourself. You don't have a reputation with yourself. And the opposite is also true. If you do it, you're like, damn right. You're right. I did it. And I'm going to keep doing it because that's who I am, right? Because I do the things that I say I'm going to do.
We've talked about this so many times, but something you just said that I've never thought about that way is like, what is your reputation with yourself?
What is your reputation with yourself?
I've never thought of that.
What kind of reputation, whenever you stand, truly have some self-awareness, folks. Another major key. That's part of this. When you look in the mirror, what type of reputation do you have of yourself? Not, oh, I think I'm overweight, or I think I'm not overweight, or whatever. When you look in the mirror, are you somebody who does what you say you're going to do, who follows through, who has confidence in themselves, right? Who knows that even whenever they feel like shit, they're still going to do the thing that needs to be done? Are you that person? Do you have that reputation with yourself? Because it's easy to think about others. I know that I grew up with Phil since we were 9 years old. His reputation with me is great, right? Phil does the things he says he's going to do. He maintains his physical fitness. His finances are like the stock market. They're always trajecting up. I'm confident in Phil getting it done. And that's an example of what his reputation is with me. What is your reputation with yourself, though? You know, how do you feel about yourself? Do you feel that way about yourself?
Most of the time, yeah. But it's a constant battle, you know, and if you're listening to this, we're not coming to you, you know, we're just a couple of, like we said at the very beginning of the show, we're just a couple of guys that fitness has changed our life, and
we're leveraging it.
Yeah. And we're normal people. My reputation with myself goes up and down a little bit.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I feel like I have a pretty good reputation with myself.
You know how to make the most, and I'm going to give you a little advice, and then we can start closing this thing out. The most valuable tool, the best ammunition for your weapon when trying to improve the reputation for yourself, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, at least for me, is when you really, really don't feel like doing it. You told yourself you're going to go work out in the morning, and that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. It's cold outside, you're in bed, you really, really don't feel like doing it. In that moment, in those moments, you absolutely must. And when you get up and you do it, and the motivation couldn't be lower, right? And when you're in the bottom, when you're in the valley of motivation, right? And you get your ass out of that bed and you go to the gym, or you follow that diet, or whatever it is, right? And when you do what you said you were going to do in those tough times, that's like loading up a 50 cal, you know, for your weapon, for your self-confidence weapon, right? You know, that's the big, and there's little stuff, right? There's some 9mm in there, some making it. Hey, I'm going to pass on the cookie tonight. That's a little bullet in the weapon, right? But when you get up and you do what you said you're going to do, when you really don't feel like it, when the weather is shit, whenever you're pissed off at your significant other, it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. But I did not want to go run the other day at 1:00 with Phil. But the way that our schedules were, that was the only time we could do it. And I told Phil I would do it. But most importantly, when I texted him, I was like, I'm doing it. I'm going to go for this run. Whoo, boy. I don't think the only thing I got out of that deal was a sunburn, but we went and did it.
We did it. I have another. We need to make sure we cover this. Make sure it's doable for yourself. You know what you tell yourself you're gonna do. But before that, I have another little quick story. Talking about this reputation with ourselves and how that kind of goes up and down in this battle, and then when you follow through, the motivation goes up. So yesterday, Sunday morning, you remember we were going to work out at 12 and then go ride bikes afterwards. And then I had some other stuff that I needed to get done in the afternoon. So Saturday night, when I went to bed, I told myself I already knew I had an 8 o'clock appointment and a 9 o'clock appointment that I had to be at. So like, all right, I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to get my run knocked. Sundays are my long run day. Like I'm going to wake up at 5:30, get my long run out of the way.
Be at my 8 o'clock.
Be at my 8 o'clock. And that because and then I'm going to have 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. I'm going to come home, eat real quick, and then head back to meet Daryl and Jared.
Which we did.
Alarm goes off at 5:30.
How'd you feel?
Terrible. Terrible.
Did your brain start to tell you, well, you can just go later?
Yeah.
And it did tell me I could go later.
Yeah, it told you.
So I reset my alarm for 7 o'clock and I went back to bed and I felt terrible about it.
Yep.
I woke up,
7.
start beating myself up.
Yep.
But maybe it was meant to be. I don't know. My 8 o'clock texted me and said, hey, emergency, can't make it.
Oh man, that's great.
Now I see an opportunity.
I saw an opportunity
for redemption.
Yeah,
for redemption.
So now
Bingo.
it's time to go
That's
run.
right.
He's putting on his headband.
I did, dude. I got
bitch.
up, changed, and I just hit the road.
Tying the running shoes.
He spun around like the Flash, and he just had his stuff on already.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And
the neighbors are like, Phil's really pissed off this morning. He's running down the street
Why
screaming.
is he stomping and running at the same time?
He's trying to destroy the concrete.
So I found this opportunity
For redemption.
And I did it.
And you redeemed yourself.
And I redeemed myself. And it wasn't the plan from the beginning, but I still got it done.
I think at the
and then I got home in time to shower, get ready, and still make it to my 9 o'clock. Yeah, and that felt great.
I think the redemption's great, but the best part about this story is, or not the best part, the most important part is how bad you felt for not doing what you said you were going to do. Because your reputation with yourself is that you are going to do those things. And when you don't, you're disappointed in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not that we need to thrive on it, but that's the message I want to convey to the listeners. Right. And so Phil has a couple more. We'll cover these and then we'll close this thing out.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that, when
these two go hand in hand.
They very much do, for sure. When you're thinking about what you want to tell yourself you're going to do, don't get crazy with it. Yeah. If you have kids or you have a job that you work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, or you have family or whatever it is, don't set yourself up for failure.
Right.
You might be you might be listening to what I just said or something Daryl said or the Sean story about, front
lat spread.
Hitting his front lat spread
wearing
at the pool.
a tank top.
And you're getting real motivated and you start making this big laundry list of things you want to do.
Yeah.
Take a step back and be real with yourself. Yeah. Assess your schedule, assess your lifestyle and your personality type.
Yeah.
Because that matters a lot. And figure out what you can commit to.
Very important. Not telling you to take it easy on yourself.
No.
But just be realistic.
That's right.
If you're working 70 hours a week and you're like, well, I got to be there at 5 a.m., but I'm going to get up at 2 and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do my cardio. Right. And then I'm going to go work 5 to 5 or 5 to 6 or 5 to 7.
Or the
and
people.
Then I'm going to go run and then I'm going to pick the kids up. And then, bro, there's literally not enough time.
It's like you can't.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. And that's what Daryl just said is an extreme example, but this does happen. People, that immediate motivation in the beginning kicks in and they make this big list. But something that I always like to remember is if you improve one thing or you make one small change once per week for 1 year, that's 52 improvements you made.
52 improvement. 52 W's.
Nobody listening to this has 52 things they need to do better.
Yeah.
You probably got like 5 or 10.
Yeah.
There's not 52 of them. So just focus on one per week for a year is 52.
Yeah. 52 things.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So thinking about that, don't set yourself up failure. Do what's doable for you and build that confidence over time.
Yeah. Build that confidence over time, build that reputation with yourself, take action, find out what matters, set goals, track them.
Yep. And you will be motivated.
And then you can use that tackling fuel whenever your buddy's mom's like, What do you do? You live at? Did you just move in? Did you sleep on the
Who
squat rack?
are you? Who are you, guy? Like,
honey, I didn't know you invited Bumstead.
yeah, right.
When did Chris get here?
When did Chris get here? Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman just walked in. What the hell's going on?
Ronnie Coleman just
When did
rolled
Ronnie
up
Coleman get dreads?
on his crotch rocket. Yeah. All right, y'all. Build the reputation with yourself. Do what you say you're going to do. And that's it, man. And, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and go to the damn gym. All right? This is an opportunity for redemption right now. Sean, take it out.
There you go.
We're done here.
All righty.
We're done here.
That's it.